Joining me today is Nick Selby. He is the new CEO of Lucapa Diamonds. Nick, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure. Thanks, Jan.
So, Nick, you're the new CEO of Lucapa Diamonds, but you're not new to the company itself. You have more than 40 years of experience in the mining industry, and you joined Lucapa in 2014 already. So you have a lot of experience. What can investors expect of your new position? What will you bring into the company now you're on the CEO level?
Um, Jan, I don't see drastic changes of direction. I just see a little bit of a calming of the horses, so to speak. I'm certainly not charging after new projects. I'd rather sweat the assets that we've got. They are good assets, and some of them are now just optimally running, and we want to shore up the balance sheet for the next 12 months at least, just get some cash into the register. We're now debt free, and so nothing is going out to pay off old loans and things like that. So I'm looking at the next 12 months just to sit and to shore up the balance sheet. As I said, we've got a very good project here in Australia, which we would like to get off the ground. You saw by an announcement that I put out 2 months back, 6 weeks ago, just saying I paused the feasibility study for Merlin because it was starting to get a little bit too pricey. And I knew that in this kind of market, we can't go and find that kind of cash right now. So it's not dead. It is certainly a very good asset. It's got over 4 million carats in the ground at some good values. So we just got to find a smarter and a cheaper way to go and fetch that. And that's what I'm going to concentrate on for the next year.
Right, sounds good. We can talk about the Merlin project later on, but let's talk about money first. You already mentioned the word, you're debt-free, you're getting good cash flow. How are these numbers developing at the moment, and what's the market like for diamonds? Do you think we can expect better numbers, even better numbers in the next years?
Yeah, no, I certainly hope so. It's the diamond game. You follow the vagaries of what's out there, but to try and counteract those, I mean, I think the diamond market is a lot more sensitive now than what it used to be 20 years ago. And sensitive, I'm saying that it follows the vagaries of the world going up and down as far as inflation is concerned and things like that. I mean, this last little blimp that we had, in my opinion, was due to China not being as quick in its recovery post-COVID, and America hitting hitting a bit of a wall as far as inflation is concerned. So those two massive jurisdictions didn't pull through polished into their markets. Are they going to recover? I'm sure they are. And once they do, I think people will want to buy diamonds again in big quantities, and that will then have a pull through, and that's where diamond mining companies start to hit their straps. The other positive side to keep in mind as far as diamond mining is concerned is the fact that these diamond mines that are about to close, they're coming to the end of their natural life, and it's just too expensive to keep them going, so they will close naturally. And what that does, it's shortens the supply or starves the supply of diamonds into the market, whereby naturally just pushing up the price of diamonds, natural diamonds, to everybody. The other big elephant in the room, I guess, it was pertaining to lab-grown diamonds and how do they affect you and how are they going to influence you and things like that. Well, for our niche production from Lucapa, we won't feel that heat. As I've said before, more than 80% of our revenue from the two mines comes from the greater than 10.8 carats. And people who are out there to spend that kind of money on a large stone are not going to want a lab-grown one. They still want the natural ones. And then, of course, you've read the press as well. We've seen that two of the biggest lab-grown companies in the United States have fallen over the last couple of months. So, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be a big threat to the diamond industry. It's there. But on the other hand, it's certainly not something that I'm worried about, that I'm losing any sleep over. That's for sure.
That's great. And you already said that you are earning a lot of money from the big stones, let's call them like that. 208 carats and 235 carats have been found on Lulu in the beginning of November, so just a couple of weeks ago. Does it mean that we are getting now closer to the kimberlite source that could be a billion-dollar potential?
I certainly hope so, yes. I was in a call the other 2 weeks back, and I mentioned to someone that I thought we were at the pointy end of this exploration program. And I got a question as to why. Why do you think you're at the point? Have you found it? No, I haven't found it. If I'd found it, I wouldn't be having this conversation. I'll be there with the drill rig in the field. But I'm at the pointy end of the program because we've now put in place there over this last 2 years, 12, 18 months. We've put in a dedicated sample plant. We've bought dedicated mining equipment just for bulk sampling of kimberlites. We've got a full team of people there dedicated just to kimberlite sampling. So what is happening now is the turnaround on samples is going a lot quicker than what it was. So from that point of view, I've chewed through a lot of our targets. I've still got another half of them to do, or more than half of them to do, but it's going quicker. So hence I'm saying that the result of this is going to happen a lot faster than what it was this time 2 years ago. So I'm very positive that we'll find something over there. Some of the indicators that we're getting is very, very positive. We still got quite a lot of work to do, as you can understand. And as happened right now, we're in the rainy season again, so things tend to slow up a little bit. Takes you a bit longer to get in and do things like that, but nothing that's not manageable. It's within our stride, and I'm very confident as I sit here chatting to you that we will turn this into something bigger and better. You're quite correct in saying that we found 2 large stones. It's indicated that they are there. We haven't mined them all, number one, from an alluvial side, but very positive from the point of view that it just vindicates our search for this kimberlite. They were nicely rounded. They weren't chipped. They weren't broken. They weren't eroded in any way, indicating that they are close to the source. Now, by saying close to the source, it's not 10 meters away. It is within a couple of kilometers, and that can imagine on our ground over there, a couple of kilometers, it's got a lot of anomalies in it. So it's just systematic work through. And we've done a lot. We've still got quite a few to do, but I'm confident that we'll get there.
Sounds good. Let's hope that your work that you get on the ground there pays off pretty soon. The analyst Warwick Rigger from Far East Capital, he used the term de-risk for Lucapa and described the company as follows. It continues to be the best operating diamond companies I've seen in 40 years, delivering amazingly large, high-quality diamonds that are sold for millions of dollars, but no one seems interested. Nick, what does it need to get the attention of investors to Lucapa Diamond and the diamond space itself?
Yeah, that's a bit of a difficult question because I don't know the answer to it. I don't understand it. We had a company that was steeped in debt, some high debt repayments to have, and we had some exciting projects and things like that. But you could understand that maybe the debt had a hold on the share price. But the debt was repaid. As we said we would do it, we did it. But there was no change to the share price. I think that we are heavily undervalued for what we have out there. And I think we are heavily undervalued for the potential that this company can be if we find that source. We've been looking forward for a long time. And we're at the end of it. We've got it's got to happen in the next 2 to 3 years. It's got to happen. Now, so what kind of shareholder comes in? You get two kinds as far as I'm concerned. The one kind is in there for the growth of the company and the dividend that you could get paid for my investment, number one. Or number two, you're in there because you take in a punt. You're hoping to get a 10-bagger out of it when the kimberlite is found. So I think we have those two mixtures of shareholders in there. And one of the things we do have is that I think the top 40 shareholders probably have about close on nearly 50% of our share capital. They own it, and they're sticking. They're not going anywhere. So it's the rest of them that are playing in the market, that are a thing like that. But yeah, I don't have a magic potion. I wish I did, because I would apply it if I knew what it was.
So do you think it's fair to say that you are the hidden gem of the diamond stocks itself?
I think we are. I think we're so cheap, and we've got such a huge potential if we find the source of this. We're well run. We are debt free. We owe nobody anything. We've got money in the bank. We've got money coming in next year to keep us going. So we're not going to be coming around rattling the tin or anything like that. So I think we're in a very, very good position. And certainly a company worthwhile in investing and putting your money into, because your returns could be ginormous.
Let's talk about these returns. I mean, beside the share price, there would be another option for the people to participate on Lucapa's success. You're getting good money, you're debt-free, and just a few weeks ago, you announced that you will receive more than 10 million US in dividends and loan repayments from the Ludo operation in Angola. That is 31% of your market cap. Would a dividend be an option for investors to participate of the great success you have?
It should. It would be. Look, people have brought up the issue of paying a dividend. Obviously, people are in the stock because they want that. Others, there's an equal amount of voice to say, oh, no, don't do that. Rather do a share buyback. I guess both of those could be seen as a dividend, really. I mean, whether you increase the stock value that way or whatever the case might be. But, as I've said, and I say the same to you, nothing is off the table. My first step is to actually get the cash in the bank. And then once we got it there, then let's have a look and see how much we've got and what we're going to do with it towards the end of the year. I'm not saying forget, I'm not going to do a dividend. We have got things we can do with the cash, but I'll decide closer to the time. But I'm not wanting to forecast I'm going to pay you a dividend this time next year, because it might not have it might be better things to do with the cash. But yeah, it's certainly not off the table.
Sounds good. Perfect. We already talked about the Lulu Kimberlite source. Let's talk about the Merlin project that we already touched on a little bit earlier. This could also be $1 billion project, and I think that would really boost the company to a new level if you're successful. You already said that at the moment, this project would be pretty expensive. It's hard to get the money for the project at the moment, so you're trying to get it a little bit less expensive. What can investors expect in terms of the Merlin project? What's the situation there? How long will it take to get more traction to the project?
Yeah, I don't want to say too much because the information is not really in the marketplace yet. But like I said, we pivoted that whole feasibility study because the feasibility study was with an aim of going out there and looking for funding from a funding source. And the funding sources wanted a bankable feasibility study. So everything was done to the ends. But the number that was coming out, because it's a brownfield site, so there's nothing there really except a couple of accommodation units, which are used by the care and maintenance crew that's on there looking after the place. So it needed everything. And obviously being a mine that was run before, to step back in there and get mining again, it is going to take some capital. You need to do a waste strip back. You need to establish and make safe the pits, etc., and all of those things. So it was taking money, and there was a lot of money up front for which there was no mining or return that you were getting from capital. From mining or treating of the kimberlites. There was no funding of the capital. And that number just started to get bigger and bigger. So, and at that stage, I said, forget it. Let's be real here. I know I can't go to the market and try and find that money. I wouldn't insult my shareholders by trying. So let's just pause that. It's not going to happen like it is in that present form. Let's try something else. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've done. And the team are busy with it. I had to sit down with them yesterday, in fact, and they've advanced very well. And we're looking at something that's going to be a lot less capital intensive. It's going to be smaller, but I'd rather start small, prove up the concept, and then grow it from there naturally, as opposed to coming to shareholders rattling a tin again. So that's it. I mean, it's a valuable asset. The diamonds there by our calculation and our monitoring of the diamond index since that time, are valuable diamonds. They're not the run-of-the-mill $120, $150 a carat goods. They're far north of that. And so it's a viable proposition, but it needs a bit of money to get going. And I think we can do it if we box clever and do it slowly but surely and build it up.
This sounds good. I mean, we have to be realistic. Lucapa is a smaller company, so it's good to start a little bit smaller and get the things done instead of just having the numbers on a paper. I think that's a good idea that you have there. Perfect. The last thing I want to discuss with you is the Russian diamonds. I mean, the European Union just banned the import of Russian diamonds for the next year. Do you think that will influence Lucapa in any way? Because you, as a smaller producer, might have a chance to get more to the European market, and things will really take off, or does it really affect you at all?
It's going to affect us from the point of view that it should, if it happens correctly, and the Russian diamonds in fact do not enter the market, and there's no back door for them to do it, another way. Let's assume that is the perfect world and it happens like that. Well, what's going to happen is the world diamond supply is going to be slightly starved because the Russian goods are no longer in it. People's consumption of diamonds is still going to be the same. So therefore, there's going to be a greater demand. And obviously, supply and demand. If there's a greater demand, the price goes up for those that are there. So it'll be positive for us in the diamond game right now as a general increase in increase in revenues across the board, which will be positive for those miners that are now in the game. Yeah,
just like you.
Like me. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
A lot of 80% of our revenue comes from our large stones. Yeah. And those haven't been affected. So, it'll be the other 20%, which I get a little bit of an uplift from. So it'll be positive. It's got to be positive.
That sounds good. Nick, thank you very much. Is there anything else that we should talk about in terms of Lucapa? What should investors know? And maybe why should someone invest into your stock maybe just tomorrow?
I think our stock is as low as it's going to go. I think with what we've got, if I look at what's out there as far as other diamond companies are concerned, how they are struggling, you've got mines that need to go underground, which are now their costs are starting to blow out. So one has to question whether they ever will go underground, and that therefore will their diamonds still be on them or come to the market? Will they be able to produce the same volumes that they are? I don't think so. We have got two nice producing assets, and I've got a third one in Australia, which I want to get going. We are debt free, as I've mentioned many times. So I think we, out of all the diamond miners out there, are probably best positioned as a junior or stroke mid-tier producer to get that value accretion, and hopefully it's going to be seen in the price of our stock as it goes up, because other players have got to fall out the bus, and their horizons are not as pretty as ours.
That sounds good, and I think it's a great summary of the whole company and the stock. Nick, thank you very much for your time, and I hope to see you soon again here.
Excellent, Jan. Anytime. Thanks very much for your time.